Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of It's All Well and Good with me, Abbie Nesbitt. You're joining me at the kitchen table because we've got some talking today. Thank you so much for all of the love and support on last week's episode. It means so much. I can't even put it into words. But yeah, other than that, it's so good to be back. Quick catch up. Not much has changed since last week. I've just been working and seeing some friends, having a good time despite the weather. We've got lovely skylights in our kitchen, which means that we can hear the rain fall. So as I'm recording this, it's a gloomy November evening, and I can hear the rain pitter-pattering off of the window. Lush. Absolutely love it. Nothing like staying inside cozy and hearing the rain. I never really used to be someone who understood that until we got skylights, and I was like, yeah, we've even got a skylight in the bathroom, so lying in the bath and hearing the rainfall, that is like next level. Today's episode is about a mindset or a concept, depending on how you look at it. You might have seen it floating around on socials last year predominantly, or you might have seen it manifest itself in different ways. Today's episode is going to be about the winter arc. Have you heard of it? Do you know what it is? According to Google, the winter arc is a self-improvement trend popularized on TikTok that involves setting personal goals for fitness, health, and other areas to be accomplished during the fall and winter months, typically from October to January. And a summary of the websites that follow Google included the Winter Arc TikTok Challenge by Gymshark. What is the Winter Arc by Under Armour? Winter Arc is a muscular, social media promoted self-improvement strategy, and it is not for wimps. For the next 3 months, you should be, according to other TikTokers, super laser focused on your goals, on your personal development, on your growth, with the aim of entering 2025 better, buffer, and fully optimized. By the Guardian newspaper. So what do you think so far? Are you a person that has given into the winter arc? Are you a person who has subconsciously done the winter arc? Are you someone who doesn't tend to care that much and wants to get through the winter months just as is, how that works for you? Or are you someone who's interested and wants to do the winter arc? To me, the winter arc seems like it's where you compromise and you mainly only focus on your fitness and your health, and you put that above everything else, which is essentially what we should be doing all year round, never mind just in the winter. But it kind of comes across to me sometimes when I see it online that it's 100% socialization and zero... Wait, I just said that the wrong way around. It's 0% socialization and 100% hibernation. And then you come out the other end of it like a spring lamb. You're ready to take on the world. But who's got the time for that when Christmas literally sits in the middle of the winter months? When marketing and capitalism is thieving out of our pockets for so long? Who's got the time to be saying, no, I'm on my winter arc? But then there are people who do that and they do it really successfully. The winter arc is meant to start on the 1st of October, meaning it's 98 days away from the 1st of January. So you got 98 days to get your shit together. It's currently the 12th of November. We're 44 days late. I'm 44 days late. This podcast is 44 days late. So let's jump in and debunk the winter arc in the middle of it. Why not? You've probably seen the winter arc repackaged quite a bit online as the 75 hard, digital detox, all of these kind of fitness focused trends online. And if you search winter arc, say, into TikTok, this is what I did, you're met with fitness videos, people's routines, like day 1 to day whatever of their winter arc. You're met with what I eat in the day, controversial content. You're met with body checking, people saying like what I eat in the day, and then they're posing. It's almost like to say what I eat in the day to get this body, controversy. Just a general extension of the Pilates and matcha culture, which I'm sure you're probably aware of. The usual goals include 10,000 steps a day, 2 litres of water, working out 5 times a week, reading 10 pages of the book every day, focusing in on hobbies, eating this, that and the other, and maybe not eating this, that and the other. All of those kind of generalized goals, which sound great, But it feels restrictive to say that you're going to do that for 98 days straight with Christmas in the middle of it all. We all know what we're like during Christmas. It's literally the season built on indulgence. But I do think it's fair to understand that we all have a part of ourselves that wants to better ourselves. So there's a part that maybe can look towards the winter arc and think, that could be good, or what kind of person would I be on the other side of that? But then the controversial side of this is when it becomes trendy, is that something that you want? Like, is that, like, do you want to be a part of that? Are trendy things becoming cringe? Is the winter arc cringe? Is it cringe to say that you're doing a winter arc? I know I've got mixed feelings towards the 75 hard because it seems so restrictive. So what makes the winter arc cool and trendy? To be honest, I am one for fresh starts. Like, I think I'm one for resetting my mindset. I like talking about mindsets. I like, like lifestyle advice. I feel like I could give advice whenever my friends come to me and they're like, Abbie, what should I do? Or this is how I'm feeling. I'm better at times with expressing my own feelings, and then sometimes I'm not. I bottle it up. I'm just human. But I do think there is something so special about a fresh start. I mean, September is the month for me. I attach fresh starts to September because of like the new school book feeling, the new uniform feeling. Like, I used to love starting school and bursting in through the doors, buzzing to meet my new teacher, to figure out where my classroom is going to be, what my routine's going to look like, all of that stuff. Aside from it being so scary, I used to love it when it came around. It just felt like a really good reset. So part of me is thinking, starting something new, kind of doing a clean slate and becoming a person who does winter arcs does seem appealing. But there's obviously a flip side to this, and we're going to jump into the pros and cons. It's never a bad thing to weigh things up from a pros and cons perspective. I literally write down in notes pros and cons of virtually not every decision that I make in my life, but a lot of the decisions I make in my life, because you just have to. The girls who get it, you just have to. So whenever you're making decisions about your life and your lifestyle and your routines and things like that, it's even more important to weigh things up from a pros and cons perspective. And that is exactly what I've done. I sat today and I thought, what are the pros and what are the cons of the winter arc? And what first came to my mind was the fact that it is a reset, just like what I touched on before. It's a positive change. It can be a positive change. It can be a realignment. In the winter months, more than ever, your priorities do swap and change all of the time. You're focusing on loads of different things. You might have something in mind at the minute that's becoming more of a priority to you. And the winter can be stressful. It can be, it is dark. It's dark outside. The weather's not great. So ultimately your mood will feel a bit lower. So making a positive change to your routine can lead to positive outcomes. It can give you a chance to realign with yourself, to center yourself, to be more present in what you're doing, to have a very clear focus on your day to day and your routines. Winter is at the end of the calendar year and at the beginning of the next one. So your energy will be low, like you've worked all year. Maybe you don't have any days holiday left to take. Maybe you just don't have it in you. Maybe work is really busy or it's really slow, and either one is pulling on your mood. Or maybe your mind's already in the coming year. I know I've been making mistakes in saying 2026 when I'm still in 2025, or I'm speaking more about January, February, March time more than ever, actually. Like, I don't think I've ever thought so proactively. Well, it could be argued whether it's proactive or not being present, but I don't think I've done that more in my life than what I have done in my adult life. All in all, I think it is a good focus point to have day to day to then get you through the weeks and the months of winter if you are someone who definitely struggles in the winter time. For this second point, I was thinking more from a social perspective. It's in our human nature to want to better ourselves individually And combining that with something that is deemed trendy does make you feel like you're a part of a community. You know, you're taking part in something. Like, we're literal social human beings. So to be socially involved will always feel like a good thing. And because you feel like you're part of a community, that can act as a motivation, and a motivation to a positive change can only really be a positive thing in itself. And it can be a really good motivation for you to make changes that you've set out for yourself as well. You know, it's quite like you've well established these goals, you've sat down, you've thought, what do I need to change, what do I need to focus on, what's good in my life, what do I need to keep in my routine, and what I need to get out of my routine. So it's always good to have a good motivation, and the motivation being like a sense of community. A lot of goals that are usually set in and during a winter arc are focused on your health benefits. As long as they're not too restrictive, you're not compromising too much or putting too much pressure on yourself. Obviously can be really good for your body, whether that's getting steps or exercising or making changes in your diet that are healthy or that have been rightfully chosen for you by, say, a healthcare professional. Surely these can only bring good things for your overall health too. So that was my third point, the health benefits as well. But not all change can be good. Not all change can bring a positive outcome. So we need to jump into the negative side of this. I've written out a couple or a few. No, I've written out a couple negatives that I think fall into this. And the first one being sustainability. So the goals can either be goals or they can be rules. And I think there's a fine line between that, whether, you know, they're achievable goals or they're restrictive rules. And if they fall into restrictive rules, then they're not going to have a positive outcome on you. They're going to cause more stress than good. These rules that you might set might not work well or blend well with the changes that are happening in your life in winter. Obviously there's changes out there that we can't control that just come out of the way, like spanner in the works, this happened, I can't do my steps that day. Spanner in the works, this happened, I can't work out that day. Or fuck it, I'm just gonna eat chocolate, and then your chocolate ban is out the window. And then maybe you skip a day and then you're a day behind, and then you always constantly feel like you're dragging yourself through this quote unquote arc because you always feel like you're a day behind. So there's this like rush element to it where you feel like you're rushing through it just to play catch up. How can you actually catch up? If you do fall a day behind, you will always be a day behind because of the set time. But then again, you can set the time of when you want to start and end your winter arc. But if we're sticking solely to the 1st of October to the 1st of January, if you fall a day behind, you will be behind. So that sustainable element to it can be really difficult depending on how restrictive you're being on yourself. And on top of all this, if you found your winter arc on TikTok, these are rules that haven't been set by you. So not only are you following somebody else's rules, you're then falling behind if you've had like a cheat day. Let's call it a cheat day. So you're falling behind if you've had a cheat day. And then that is just an added layer of stress. You're like, well, I've taken this from someone else. I've applied all of this pressure as just a choice, and now I've fallen behind. And that sense of any achievement and that added pressure is just on top of it. It's not going to be an enjoyable experience. Like, you're just not going to enjoy it at all. Maybe that's a bit like forever and ever and ever of me, but I think that's how I would react to that. Like, I would be looking at it like, oh my God, why did I even choose to do this in the first place? I'm already so far in, blah, blah, blah. And that's not to say that you can't just turn around and, you know, restart it or like start afresh the following day. You can absolutely do that. But I think from me in my head, I kind of would want to do something like that to 100% to get the 100% results. The added argument of this is, what happens when it's all over? What do you do when it's all over? Do you just continue with all of these routines? Do you continue with them? I'm sure you probably could. But what if you get to the end and you're like, oh my God, thank God that's over. I'm never doing that again. So you just go back to what it was before. Like, does everything just start to revert? So the sustainability element of this definitely plays into how achievable you make your goals. If your goals aren't achievable, you're not going to be able to sustain what you want during the winter arc. And then on the other side of it, if your goals were too restrictive, then you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm never doing that again. And you're just going to go back to the start of it. I said at the beginning of the podcast, it's the winter arc to me is like 0% socialization and 100% hibernation. Obviously that's not true. That's just a made up quote, and I thought it sounded cool for the podcast. However, it's not ultimately untrue. The amount of compromises you would probably have to make during the winter arc to stick to it wouldn't be 0 to 100, like I said, but we're all human. Like, we all have moments of indulgence, we have moments of enjoyment, and we should allow ourselves to enjoy those moments and not really restrict ourselves based on something that we've seen online that is trendy. So if you're in the middle of your winter arc and you've cut out X, Y, and Z and you're doing all X, Y, and Z on top of it all, so what have you got to look forward to apart from the end goal at the end of the 98 days? It's a bit long, if I have to say. It is a bit long for my liking. I think the main takeaway from this is definitely that if you're going to do the winter arc, you need to be setting really achievable goals for yourself. You need to personalize this to the hilt. You can't be just taking what you see online and applying it to yourself, especially if it's work out 5 times a week and you haven't worked out before in your life, or like go out 10k steps every day, but you know you can't achieve that based on the work that you do or the hours that you work. And it's cutting out certain foods, but those foods actually might benefit you more than what you think, but you just are going to assume that they're bad for you because you've seen that online. What you should be doing during your winter arc is, and this kind of applies to 75 hard as well, what you should be doing is personalizing it for yourself ultimately. All this chat about the winter arc and focusing on in the winter months has got me thinking about the goals that I want to set for myself. And I definitely do want to, lay down the I was going to say lay down the law. That sounds a bit harsh. But I do want to have some focus points throughout winter, because previously I have been someone who is seasonally affected by wintertime. I think everybody is seasonally affected by it, but I think some more than others. I remember a few years ago, especially in school, like whenever you used to wake up and go to school, it would be dark. You would come home from school and it would be dark. That used to be a nightmare. It's actually becoming more of a nightmare for me now working, because it's briefly bright when I go to work, but then it's completely pitch black when I come home. So I aim to get myself out for 20-minute and half an hour walk on my lunch break, just to get some fresh air in my lungs and just to get moving. I'm not setting myself you have to run or walk 2 miles every day. I'm not about that whatsoever. However long the distance is for the walk, that's good. As long as I'm out in the fresh air for like half an hour on my lunch break, I'm happy. I'm kind of toying with the idea at the minute of drinking less alcohol, which has been working well for me. I do feel like I'm more productive and I'm more creative. I'm having more ideas. It feels like there's less of a brain fog. I'm not saying that I used to drink every night. Like that was not how it was going down in my house whatsoever. I just kind of needed to mentally take a step back from it and, not go for the odd glass of wine or the odd pint of Guinness, this, that and the other. Just kind of, park that and be like, okay, I'm not going to overindulge in alcohol too much. And I think partly that's because Christmas is coming up, and that is when you overindulge in alcohol. Well, I know I do, but yeah, I'm just kind of taking a step away from it at the minute, just because. This is a new one, less caffeine as well. I'm back on my decaf wave. I have a coffee every morning in work, and I've just decided to cut out the caffeine, so I just have a decaf instead. I think that's mainly to do with the past few times that I have had coffee. It's actually made me more anxious than I thought I would maybe enjoy it. So I just decided, that's that. No caffeine for me. But I still enjoy a coffee though. Like, I went to the coffee shop today to write the notes for this podcast, and I got a decaf oat latte. I was like, can I get a decaf oat latte, please? And the girl was like, yes, you can, because decaf is cool. Currently, I do work out 3 to 4 times a week, so I'm going to keep that up. I'm not going to add too much more onto it. I'm not going to, say that I have to be running at the end of all of my workouts or running in between all of my workouts. I don't want to overload myself, so I'm just happy enough with that. So I'm just going to keep that in my goals to keep up with the consistency, and I really enjoy it. I'm someone who has learned the benefits of exercise over the past year or so, maybe 2 years. People always say, oh, exercise helps your mental health. It does. It actually does. And it wasn't until I was working out consistently and then I took a step away from it that I was like, oh my God, no, it actually does help. Like, it wasn't that like I mentally missed it. I could feel my body missing it. My body needed that, like, is it exertion? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I needed to like work my body from sitting down and work all day, or do it in the morning and then feel accomplished the rest of the day. So I'm just gonna keep up with that this winter. Really happy with how it's going, and I feel like I've gained good confidence in the gym, which I didn't have 2 years ago. Obviously, podcast weekly, that's why we're sat here talking right now. Well, I'm talking, you're not, you're listening. Thank you. I definitely want to be reading more physical media or taking in more physical media and art. Me and Eddie pick up the paper on a Saturday. We get the Guardian Saturday edition, which has been a nice routine that we've got ourselves into. I've picked up a couple of Vogue magazines, although I do like Vogue. It's very visually attractive, and the idea of having Vogue and, Devil Wears Prada and all that kind of energy that surrounds it is great, but it's so high end, it's so extreme, like it's very like an extreme magazine. There's so much money behind it. I'm actually more interested in the independent magazines that are being run by students, smaller businesses throughout the UK. So at the minute I do want to take in more of that physical media, or making changes to my readings where they're more like article based from the independent magazines online, so I'm not scrolling as much. I do still scroll. I don't think I can't not scroll. It's literally my job. I'm a social media manager. Do you know what I mean? It's like I will never be able to get ahead of that part of myself unless I change jobs, which I'm not going to. So I do want to work on the media that I am consuming and make it more physical. 2 more artsy goals would be oil pastel drawings. I touched on this before. It's so nice just coming in from work and just sitting down and creating something with your hands. It's so meditative as well, because whenever you're drawing, it's literally your mind and your hand connected. You can be thinking about other things, but then that's where I tend to make mistakes. So being able to just focus in on oil pastels and like, I'm actually like acting out drawing here, and that mind to hand connection is really, really meditative. So I'm really enjoying that at the minute, and I do want to carry that out through the winter months. If you get an oil pastel drawn from me for Christmas, you're welcome, because I'm actually low-key kind of good. And the last one would be styling. I've recently learned that fashion and styling is like a muscle. It needs to be trained, and I think I definitely want to train it. I want to get more into styling. Every day when I wake up for work, I'm always thinking about what I'm wearing and if I could wear something different. At the minute, I love layering. I've got this polka dot sheer dress that my friend Liz got me for my birthday. I've got it layered over the top of a white t-shirt and denim jeans. Just nice, adds a bit of texture and pattern. So that's what I'm kind of into at the minute. Skirts over jeans, always. I love it. All that kind of stuff. Do I say all that kind of stuff a lot? Or all that jazz? Or all that good stuff? Maybe that's what I should have called the podcast. Should have called it all that good stuff. Anyway, I just want to get into styling a bit more. I hope from today's episode, it's got you thinking about the winter months, and it gives you a positive mentality in how you're going to work on yourself or work on the things around you during these darker nights. It's hard. It can feel like a really long slog, but we're closer to the shortest day of the year than what you think. And then on the other side of the shortest day of the year, we gain daylight by the minute. So just hang in there, set your goals, make sure they're achievable, and we'll all get through this together. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. It's been a joy. I hope you liked the setup of the kitchen corner. It looks really cute. I've got loads of candles, so it feels really, really cozy. But yeah, thank you so much as ever. Next week's episode is going to focus in on my fashion predictions. I want to say these are fashion predictions. I want to say these are fashion predictions for 2026. Yeah, I guess I could say that, because I don't think these predictions will come into play during Christmas time. Christmas time has its own kind of vibe going on. So yeah, next week's episode is going to focus in on my fashion predictions based on a few shows that I watched during Paris Fashion Week, things that I like, things that I would love to see come down the funnel into the high street, and a couple of trendy things that could be dying out, which means the introduction of something else. For example, polka dots, because we had to replace leopard print with something, didn't we? So I will catch you next week for another episode. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.